Most people talk about leadership like it's theory. I've lived it in the mud, the chaos, and the moments nobody writes about. This show is the truth, raw, unfiltered, and built for leaders who actually give a damn. If you're ready to grow, ready to own your own story, and ready to lead from the front, you're in the right place. Speak up, show up, lead. Let's get into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Speak Up, Show Up, Lead. I'm here with we'll call him Stevo because that's what he goes by on all of his platforms there. But today we're going to be talking a little bit about his background and a little bit about leadership. Before we get started, as always, I'm going to do a plug for my books here. So here's my newest release, Resilience is Built, Not Born. But my story of leadership from the ground up, Speak Up, Show Up, Lead, which is what I named this podcast after. These can be found at Amazon.com. Go check them out if you're interested. How you doing today, Stevo?
I'm good. Can I call you JJ?
Sure. Call me anything but late for dinner, buddy.
Yeah, man, I'm good. Thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you got a pretty interesting background. I read I listened to your story on audiobook, but can you tell us a little bit about your background and tell the audience about yourself?
So I'm originally from Carlisle, Pennsylvania. I joined the Army in 1988. I retired in 2008. I've been to combat multiple times, maybe about that many times. Last time I didn't have a weapon. I was an advisor. I helped collect data for the Center of Army Lessons Learned. So, yeah, it's been a journey. So I went to Walter Reed Army Medical Center, retired in 2008. Wrote in 2017 The Mirror, which was therapeutic poetry. 2024, I dropped The Broken Mirror after I was terminated from the civilian government after 16 years because I had PTSD and didn't agree with policy. And then I was out on a journey for about a year in my RV. I sold that. I was helping veterans, homeless people, anyone that just had issues, and I was more giving my books away. And then, The Broken Mirror dropped. That's military transition, self-help, personal development, and that bond between a parent and a child, which was broken. And then I left everyone at a cliffhanger. And 2025, after coming back from getting my first book award ever, didn't even know I got it while I was out on the road. I went and spoke. I was like one of the main speakers in front of thousands of authors. It was pretty wild. When you go to breakfast the next morning, they tell you had the best speech. I'm like, nah, that's not me. But came back here, figured out that a lot of those organizations were funnels. And my buddy said, yo, man, you need to drop a memoir about that whole thing. So I dropped No Filter, From Skateboard Kid to Entrepreneur, building a global platform through the mental health journey. That's like the subtitle. And I talked about my childhood, my marriage, terrible, the leadership that we're going to talk about today, military, corporate, and sports leadership. And then just recently, about a couple months ago, someone told me, why don't you combine all three books into one? So I made, this is just a box, but it's a shipping box. This is the Reflection Series Legacy Edition. All three books combined into one. You can see the pillars. I live my life off pillars: therapeutic poetry, mental health, and keeping it raw. So, but yeah, it's been a journey so far. I'm an advocate for mental health veterans. I'm on several podcasts, and I believe if you're an author, you need to tell your story because, if you are an author and you just put your stuff on Amazon, it's not going to sell. You have to be out there. And every time you interview, you have to be different. And this is the first leadership thing that I've gone through, which I believe that I have my credibility as a leader, same as you. But yeah, the journey's been real, and I'm getting ready to go out on the road and do my purpose tour. It's going to be purpose, mental health, suicide, and your transition, like what's your 5-year plan. So, but yeah, that's me in a nutshell there. So
Well, thank you for being willing to come on here and share all of that with us. And I'm really interested to see where this goes. So um, I kind of have my ideas when it comes to military leadership, how it works in the corporate world, but also sports leadership. And I just like to hear, what are some insights that you would like to share, and we can kind of start bouncing things off of each other. I'm really interested to see what you have to say first.
I'm trying not to look off my tablet, but so in No Filter, I did a whole breakdown of the technical breakdown of crawl, walk, run, the real talk on leadership.
Okay.
Um, Talks about my credibility, receiving the Audie Murphy Award, Force.com Award, and then the Major General Armory Red Numerate Award. And it also talks about General Dennis Reimer presenting me the Audie Murphy Award with Fuller Goff, his battle buddy, which was amazing at Fort Carson. So I just said that, being inducted to the SAMC, Sergeant Audie Murphy Club, leadership is often misunderstood. There are approximately 850 different definitions of leadership out there, compared to military leadership, to civilian and sports leadership. Let's break it down with no fluff. Military leadership is forged through discipline, adversity, and direct accountability. Is not about theory, it's about execution. And the military leadership starts at the lowest level to followership, with followership. You don't just get led because of the rank or title. You are led because of you've been evaluated physically, mentally, emotionally, and you follow orders, face fear, and earn trust. You've been there in the mud, in the chaos, in the fire. Civilian leadership is, by contrast, often centers around structure, system, and strategy, more about managing process, allocating resources, and leading through influence, delegation. It's leadership through position. The core difference is military leaders come from the front, and civilian leaders often lead from the desk or behind the desk. Um, so military leaders say, "Follow me," and civilians leaders say, "You got this. Let me know when you're done." What makes leadership unique? Direct engagement. You lead in the trenches and not from the boardroom. You earn authority. No one respects your title unless your actions back it up. High stake decisions. Mistakes cost lives, not just money. Discipline over charisma. You don't need to be like, you need to be trusted. Mission first mindset. It's not about individual goals, it's about the team. There is no I in team. The mission, the outcome, the real definition of crawl, walk, run that I lead, which is coach, teach, mentor. That's like my definition of leadership. Crawl, you follow, you listen, you watch, you sweep motor pools in the rain, walk, you adapt, you get coached, and you start to understand why things work. Run, you lead, you carry the mission, you take responsibility for more than yourself. The progression is how real leaders are built, not by seminars, not by degrees, but by taking and earning every step. Leadership is discipline. Discipline is founded without, you're not leading, you're in charge. And then sports leadership, you have all these major teams and stuff. I don't think they get selected to be team captains because, like, uh, they're getting paid a lot of money.
Right.
And they're getting paid a lot of money because they know how to lead. And I'm going to use my daughter as an example. Dad didn't believe in my kid when she was here back in Pennsylvania. She's just a little cheerleader, and she grew out of her gym. And at 13, she left to go home. She left to go to Florida to a host family, and I didn't believe in her. And she made me look bad. She came out as a two-time world champ, multiple world championships, multiple second place. Cheered for one of the biggest cheer companies. I won't name it, but she's now a coach. So she did the crawl, walk, run, and now she's coaching. This year, she's coaching 5 teams.
Wow.
5 teams at 18 years old. Last year, it was only 2 teams because they wanted to see where she was. And then her team went to the summit this year, and I think out of 23 teams, her team took like third or fourth place. So, yeah, they have her doing some stuff this year. So she's the head coach of 3 teams and backup for 2 other teams.
Right.
So, yeah, so I believe that, sports leadership, you know, it's it's a lot different than, because like in sports leadership, you're not from the front, because I mean, like, team coaches, the whole team looks up to this one individual, and then, like, I believe, like, I haven't been like in that whole sports realm, but I believe if there's like major interviews or people that are going to represent the team, it's going to be like the team captains or the people that that are very highly looked, the ones that are getting paid the big dollars. They may talk to a couple of rookies here and there, but the only reason I follow sports leadership is because of my kid. So
Cool. Well, I think first of all, I want to acknowledge that you must be an extremely proud father for your daughter to have done so much in her career, and she's only 18 years old. So that's awesome. My daughter's 19, and heck, I'm proud of her for always getting straight A's and stuff like that. So I can imagine how you feel. She's probably been doing that and all the sports stuff on top of it. So I mean, it's pretty awesome. But yeah, as far as leadership is concerned, there are so many definitions, but you're right. Military leadership is earned. I remember I retired as a warrant officer, but when I first became an NCO back in the day, I went to Fort Bliss, Texas, over to the NCO Academy, and I remember, and this kind of set the stage for how I felt about leadership. Uh, well, all the way up to now, even though I've been out for 8 years from the military, and it said right over the top of the doors as you walk into the NCO Academy there at Fort Bliss, NCOs lead by example. And to me, that's how you earn your clout. That's how you earn trust. That's how you earn respect. That's how you earn everything. Is that you don't just lead by telling people what to do because your position allows for it. You lead by earning respect and always putting your money where your mouth is, and you're not going to ask anybody to do anything that you wouldn't be willing to do yourself. And I think that's really kind of there's a lot of doctrine things that go along with military leadership, but I think that's the basic of it. And you're right, corporate leadership doesn't really do that. Everybody is fighting to keep their position because everybody is expendable. So it's hard to maintain that same level, but then again, it's not if you have the right mindset for it.
yeah, I believe my leadership started when I was 19. Like, I never thought that I would be sitting in Germany, and the next thing you know, I'm sitting in Desert Shield, Desert Storm. And like I said, just where I think my leadership started, because like I was like low level guy, and the number one cannoneer, like the loader, he broke his wrist before we did like a 45 round prep before like the end of the war, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And like they came down and said, fire for effect. The breach broke his wrist. I didn't know anything about field artillery. I was just sitting on the back of the gun and watching everything. And my chief was like, "Private, get up here." And my little butt, I fired 45 round shell HE, UPD 7 red bag, or 8 red bag. Yeah, charge 8 red bag. And that's all we did, 45 rounds for effect. And I seriously think that's where I earned my leadership, because, like, I didn't even know what a military award was. I walked out of there with an ARCOM. And most of the privates and specialists walked out of there with a certificate of achievement.
I was going to say nothing, nothing but
Nothing.
graduation.
So, and then that made me think, like, maybe there is, did I do this for 4 years? Do I want to stay in? And then, from 89, so I got inducted to Audie Murphy in 97. So that's how fast I made staff sergeant. So,
Okay.
but the longest rank I ever held was sergeant first class for like 10 years. But you know what? You make it in 10 years, you hold it for 10 years. But you know what? I learned a lot. And I just want to say that I learned one thing about leadership in like military history. So I'm not afraid to say I got relieved when I was at Fort Lewis, because I got an altercation. It's in my book. I talk about it. Mm-hmm. Leaders get knocked down, and leaders get back up. But it's funny because, like, when you're at the NCO level or non-commissioned officer level, sergeant, E6, E7, a lot of those people don't even know what their combat patches mean. Like,
No.
And when I worked in the museum, I learned what every ribbon meant. I learned about every branch. I learned about every division or the divisions we used to have. And it was funny because I got promoted to sergeant first class while I was in the museum. I think I was like number 53 in the entire Army on the side of the field artillery. And I was like, you know what? And it was funny because when I worked at the Port Louis Military Museum, we didn't have one complaint. We went from wearing civies to wearing Class Bs. And I had people that didn't believe in themselves, that were broke, profile. And I picked them up, even though we were like painting tanks and cleaning up trash out in the poor yard and all that. I told them believe in themselves, know the history. You guys study the history. We would listen to the history while we're cleaning up, and it wasn't like you memorize it, but you just take pieces. People ask you questions all the time, but I learned that, and then being a platoon sergeant in combat, and then getting relieved again and being a retention guy, sitting down with the staff and learning the advisory stuff, and then being an advisor for field artillery, that whole changed the whole realm of leadership, because like when we were training for Afghanistan and Iraq, the soldiers going down to qualify and to go on the lane runs and stuff. When you got the sergeant major of the Army and the chief of staff coming and you're told you have to brief these guys, there ain't no sleep for like 3 or 4 days. Like you got to make sure that your rehearsal, you got to do your pre-combat checks, your pre-combat inspections, and rehearsal. Rehearsal is the key. And I always say that to my networking buddies, my Army military friends that are retired, networking is the key to success. And that's what you and I are doing here. We're networking and we're spreading the message to people that are sitting out there in silence that have no clue. But I just tell you, man, for a while I was stuck in that military bubble, always talking about the military and not trying to get away from it, and being the senior, and knowing that when you're when you're working for a cola company and then grandma says, "Hey boy, get down there and get those cubes," and I'm like, "Well, I'm not in charge no more." So, but I started out as a follower, and I had some guy on my podcast the other night call me. He called me a legend, and he told me that I'm a leader, and I shook my head. I was like, not a leader, man. He's like, "You are, man." He goes, "You really are." So and when I talk to people, I'm here. I don't see myself above, especially when I talk to people about mental health or struggling. You never want to be above anyone. You want to be at the same level.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Yeah,
I agree. So if there was a lesson that you could share for those corporate leaders or those military people getting ready to go into corporate America or whatever civilian job that's out there, what's a lesson that you could share with them that would be beneficial in their journey?
Are you talking about transition?
To the transitioning service members, what's one thing about their military leadership that would benefit them in the civilian world?
Build that toolbox, I'll tell you that. So I don't know how TAPS or whatever it's called anymore, what they're doing, but I truly believe through the non-commissioned officer courses, just real quick, NCOs that are leading, and you got soldiers that are leaving the military. A lot of soldiers blame their failure on the NCOs because they didn't teach them how to do a resume or teach them about life. They do go like some out processing thing, and they give them a DD Form 214 and kick them in the butt because the military doesn't care about you when you leave. But there are people like you and I that have been through the system and have struggled. And I truly believe that if you are going to be successful, I was a 13 Bravo. I was artillery. And I have found that a lot of combat arms guys and gals are very successful on the outside compared to like rocket scientists or drone operators or stuff like that or whatever that have degrees. You don't have to have a degree. You have to know how to take the military language and transfer it over to civilian. Look at the job description, pull out the keywords. I talk about this right in resume writing in The Broken Mirror, because a lot of people, like when I was at Walter Reed, I was supposed to be in a 2-week course, and my resume course was like, they crammed it down to like 3 days because of like the instructor and all this. Yeah. And I'm like, I've been here for a whole year, and they could have been like slowly teaching us and out processing us, But if they would implement that in the NCO Corps, and I've already talked to like certain sergeant majors, And it's almost like, you got to learn all that. And I'll tell you, between you and me and the rest of everybody listening, senior leadership that get out of the military do not know how to write resumes. They don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I believe if you have someone write your resume, and I'm going to tell you where that falls. When I got working for the civilian government, I was in the security side, like anti-terrorism, real world stuff. So if somebody writes your resume and you go in there saying you know this stuff, and then when the shit hits the fan, you're standing there going, what do I do? What do I do? It's on your resume that you know what to do. But if not, you've lied on your resume. And I truly believe that if I was, interviewer, the first thing I would ask them is, did AI write your resume, or did you specifically write your resume and then tailor it? Because the reason why my resume is so good, when I worked for the civilian government, a few people went down to the Pentagon and they took my resume with them and they put all them big words in there. And I was like, man, I don't know about them big words. I'm going to have to change that. But it made it look powerful, but still, when it brought it back, I was like, do I know how to do this? Yes, I have security manager course. I have anti-terrorism level 1 and 2. I know access control, but I don't think people agreed with me because I'm the kind of person that I don't care what grade you were. If I'm running access control, you don't tell me what to do. I run the access so no one gets into the admiral's office or no one gets in. Because as soon as I leave my guard down, that's it. But yeah, I believe it's a resume. I believe it's a resume writing. When you can nail that resume writing down and get a job or a career and you stick to it, you'll be successful.
I do believe that's the first step. When they when soldiers or whatever service member transitions from the military, they have to learn that. I mean, they teach you directly out of the DLL handbook while you're transitioning from the military. And they tell you to tailor, but they don't tell you how to do that. They give you a couple websites that will supposedly translate your stuff from military to civilian, but I've never had any luck with that. I actually went through, you have to use your resources. So there's the VA. I mean, I used my aunt, and then I use Goodwill because Goodwill has a bunch of resources to help people who are in poverty get jobs. And so, I mean, if they have, or disabilities. And so, I mean, if they help them, I just went down there and I said, well, hey, look, I haven't had any luck with this whole resume thing. Is this something that you guys would help with? And they did. But those aren't the only resources. I believe as military leaders, whether you're an E1 or an O10, it doesn't really make any difference at all because we all learn the same stuff as we get out to learn how to transition. And none of the stuff that we did is easy to translate into civilian speak if we don't know the civilian job itself. So finding those people to help us out was very, very important. There are more resources out there, DAV, so on and so forth, but use your military skills that you had to be able to adapt and overcome and do what you got to do to get the stuff done out in the civilian world, because it's just use it as your next duty station.
Yeah. And also, I was single for 19 years, man. Like when I retired from the Army, I was married. Like I got married my last year in the military. And then my daughter Isabel was born in 2007. Let me tell you what, man, I didn't know how to be a father, man. I was institutionalized at the Wounded Warrior Transition Unit for a whole year. And the only time they let me go home was to see my kid get born, And I really tried to push it for June 15th, but the Army's birthday, she got born one day prior. Isn't the Army's birthday the 15th?
I believe it is. I can't.
Yeah, I keep saying that my daughter's an Army baby, and she's like, Dad, look, I came out of the moon on the 14th. Stop lying to people. So, but yeah, I didn't know how to father, man. I really didn't, man. I didn't know how to father, and the medication that you're on from the VA, I proved that that's all long-term medication use. Will destroy the body, the mind, your kidneys, and the other thing is you gotta educate yourself on what you're taking, because if it's hurting your body, you need to go out and reach out. Because a lot of people ain't say this, but I've been with the same psychiatrist since 2008, and you tell me how many people in the VA system are like this. the VA system is juggling people around.
Yeah, they are.
So
And they push
now,
medication.
yeah, and now it's almost like if the medication is helping you, I don't ever say that. I try to use coping mechanisms, and I'll never, the medicine is there if I need it, I take it. But when I got out, I was on 10 bottles of pills, 48 pills a day, and periodically I talk to my therapist, and I ain't even going to say primary health care because I don't even know who that person is. Every time I turn around, it's someone different. But we're down to 3 bottles now, and
Yeah.
1 pill per day. But I also proved in my books that, and no lie, the mirror and the broken mirror have both been approved by the Pentagon Review Board. Like, there are not a lot of people out there writing books like these special op guys, the operator dudes, and all that. None of their books are approved by the PRB.
Very
If
few.
they are, they're not in there. And I mean, when people go, "Hey, your stuff's a bunch of lies," well, I guess the Pentagon, you know. And then here's the other thing. I don't know if you know this or not, but I kind of ran this through a couple people. I am going to have my daughter on my podcast.
Oh, good.
And I'm going to call it the Broken Mirror because there's a lot of people saying I'm hiding behind podcasts, and I want to put this out and my books to make myself look good. You know what? If the book helps one person and it's already saved 3 people's lives, but for a father to sit down with his daughter, and I don't even know what my kid's going to say, because I think it's only be 20 minutes because that's all she wants. Because these kids these days, they send you emojis and stuff, and that's it. But I want my daughter to tell people how I treated her to where we are today. Because No Filter, my kid endorsed that book and wrote Izzy's Diary. And I read it just on Hero Stock the other day. And those dudes were blown away because Matt, he was like, I heard this before, you know. But instead of like a forward or a preface, I say it's from the child's diary, you know.
Yeah.
Because when my daughter wrote this, I was in tears, man. I was like, man. So,
yeah. When is that going to be? Do you have a date scheduled for that already?
No.
Okay.
She's coaching 5 teams, so I do know she did surprise me and say that she's coming up here mid-July to see her grandfather because he's not doing very well, and she wants to hang out with me. It's only going to be Friday through Monday because like she coaches all week. You know, she's at the gym every day, and she's still in cosmetology school till June 20th. So
okay.
But yeah, I sold my RV and paid off all her tuition. So like, I want her to start off fresh, meaning because like a lot of kids are in debt right now.
Yeah.
And you don't even know. So I want my kid to be successful. And this year she certified the USA, USA coaching certification. That'll make her eligible to be a world coach.
Okay.
Like, 19 years old, world coach against people that have been coaching for like 20 years. Man, I just hope she can make that. You know, and I live every day. Like, there's 2 pillars that what do they call my lifelines? That dog over there that I've had for 13 years, which just had surgery, almost died on me, and my kid. But I got to understand, I think about what happens if the dog's not here? What happens if my daughter's here? Do I just end it or do I carry on the legacy? Because mom's dead, dad's dead, sister's dead. I'm the only one. I don't plan on having no more kids. But I told her, I said, I would love for you to carry on the legacy, only if it's one day or one day every 2 weeks or something, to keep the books going, you know, because the money that comes in for the books goes to her private account.
Right.
And there's a lot of times she's like, Dad, can I get the money out of the private account? And
right.
I'm like, a little bit, but not a lot, because I wanted to be there for her to show her that the message that's going out that I pay for, like I pay for my audiobooks. I don't pay to be on anyone's, what do they call them, podcast or anything.
Right.
Because if you're going to talk about mental health, why are you paying someone thousands and thousands of dollars for studio fees and stuff like that? Like, you came to me, and like some of these books, I'm a 6-time award-winning author. I don't pay for nothing no more because I've been scammed. Marketed scams and all that. So
yeah.
And I always talk when I do open speaking about it's all about leadership. I mean, it doesn't matter if you wrote a fiction book or a children's book, or a wizard book. I believe everybody in the whole author community side, you can even talk about author leadership basically, because there's some authors that are up here that don't treat you right. But like, I think everybody has some type of pain or trauma.
Yep.
And that's how we become story. I don't consider myself as an author. I consider myself as a storyteller.
Yep.
But now I don't write no more. Now I'm an author advocate, and I help people. And I just wrote a foreword for my buddy who is a Marine Corps veteran himself, and I wrote a foreword to his book, and his name is KJ Carlos. He's a real good guy, and he's getting ready to do the audiobook for. I haven't even talked about this for the Reflection series.
Okay.
So yeah, it's going to be great, and he's doing it for free. So. I think it's absolutely cool, and I'm going to give him the credit for it,
Heck yeah, as you should. Well, so now that we're at about 30 minutes here, I always ask everybody that's on my show one question before I end the show. What's one piece of advice to anybody who's developing in their leadership journey that you would like to share with the world?
I had something here. One, entrepreneurs are not always rich. Entrepreneurs build a global platform to speak. And if you're going to be a leader, you need to get on podcasts. If you're going to be a leader, you need to speak to people. If you're going to be a leader, you need to get the message out. And you need to stick with that message. If you're talking about leadership, don't talk about politics. If you're talking about leadership, don't talk about the war. If you're talking about leadership, don't talk about your kids. If you're talking about leadership, don't talk about your animals. You got to have the hook. If you don't have the hook in the beginning, no one's going to listen to you. But like I said, my books are a mental toolbox, and I believe that people have toolboxes and grab information. Like when you do your speaking, I might not get a lot out of it, but I'll take the bits and pieces and put it in my toolbox.
Sure.
So when I'm out on the road speaking, I can refer, or I could say, this guy said this, not to get the credit for it. Because like in The Broken Mirror, a gentleman named Sean Koss, he is a mental health dude that does like pixels and stuff, amazing art. He's done stuff for Nine Inch Nails and Iron Maiden covers and stuff. Because he even talks about it in his book. But like, I quoted him in my book and gave him credit, and actually reached out to his team and said, look, I took a couple things and I quoted, but I always said he never talked about the veteran side. Everything that I quoted, I put the veteran side, because the book was more developed toward veterans and stuff like that. But hey man, build the toolbox.
Build the toolbox. That's a good message. And do you want to do one last promotion for your book series before we head on out of here?
So it is called the Reflection series. It is The Mirror, the Broken Mirror, and No Filter, which is therapeutic, mental health, self-development, personal development, and just raw as I could be. Because like, this also has a lessons learned at the end as a military and as an author. So, and I really think that people are going to get something out. It's $55 right now on Barnes and Nobles, but it is a special art edition. I think I sent you the manuscript. Did you get the manuscript to that? If not, I'll send it to you and you can take a peek at it. But the color art when you open the book itself, yeah, I sent you. Didn't I sent you the little trailer that someone made, like the little movie.
Yes.
The little movie. The guy opened the book up. This guy bought the book, and I'm like, hey, just show the book. And I thought he was gonna like turn it, with his hands. I don't know how he did that, but that just shows. That's like a huge advertisement for the book that I used. But yeah, it is raw as it can be, man. So, and I don't have AI write anything for me. Like, I think what I talk about, I don't even think AI could talk about some of the stuff that I talk about in No Filter.
No. About
being bullied. Because you have to remember one thing: AI is taking over the world, but AI does not have emotions.
No, and it doesn't replace human influence.
And you'll definitely know that if an audiobook is AI because you can't hear the inflection or the emotions in the reader.
Correct.
And that when you listen to the audiobook, you could tell that my narrator, who is a military veteran, you could hear the inflections.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah,
I did hear that.
leadership and networking is the key to your success, man.
Yep, it is. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on my show. Thank you, everybody in the audience, for always following me and supporting me and being a part of my journey. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, leave a comment below. But make sure you do subscribe wherever you see this so that you can get notifications when I come back live. This was another episode of Speak Up, Show Up, Lead. I'm your host, JJ Hardy, with William Stevo here, and we'll see you next time. I will see you next time.